Okay, we're live. John, did you ever watch Entertainment Tonight? Did you ever see that show? Do you
No,
remember it? Okay,
no.
I don't even know if it's still on. I remember it's a show. How can I best describe it? But basically, it was a show. It was a network television show. It came on like ABC or something like that,
Okay.
and it would go over movies that were coming out and TV shows. It was like TV guide
Got ya.
article, yeah, for television, but it had a really catchy intro with this saxophone. And I was like, man, we need to get something like that, just something to kind of kick off the show. Oh no, I'm frozen.
Hey, I was
Oh,
wondering if that was me or not.
what
No,
the
TJ,
hell?
I totally agree with that. I think that a couple custom music notes could really up our production value.
Yeah.
Or even just like transitions into the outro, and that's definitely something we should be putting on the list of stuff that we need. If anyone's watching this, obviously we're just starting right now. But if anyone's, we'll maybe mention this a couple of times and just blast it on our socials. But I'm sure there's someone out there who can do music and wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
I have nothing. I can do the graphic design, but music I have diddly squat in terms of music.
Help your boys out. Help your boys out. So speaking of the theme of movies, man, that's weird. I don't know why it froze up for a second right there. It's fine now on my side. It's weird. But the theme with movies and everything, this is a kind of a relaxed show anyway. And we had one person, now it's zero, so we can do it's fine. But so I don't know if you see I titled this episode or this live Casper Gomez and the Diaz brothers. And I don't know.
No idea what it's about.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's from a movie you do know, but it's a pretty obscure reference from it, and it's from Scarface. And so there's a scene in Scarface. It's right after Tony makes his deal with Sosa to sell all this cocaine. He comes back to Miami, and he's reporting to Frank. Then Frank is really pissed because Tony just agreed to send Sosa $10.5 million of his money without asking him. And so Frank's not happy about that. And Frank is going, and then Tony is trying to convince him, say, hey, listen, the Sosa, the product we're buying from Sosa, it sells really cheap down in South America. We can't lose money on this deal. And then Frank says, well, okay, first off, what if I don't have the first $5 million ready for Sosa? You think he's going to send a bill? You think that's what's going to happen? He's going to send a bill? That was a pretty funny line. And the second thing he says is, also, we have to worry about our competitors in this area or the people that we work with. And he says, like, what happens when Casper Gomez hears about this? What do you think the Diaz brothers are going to do whenever they hear us moving? And then Tony is exposed as, fuck Casper Gomez and fuck the fucking Diaz brothers. I bury those cockroaches. What they ever do for us, huh? And I always love, and I know you'll appreciate this, I always love that kind of world building because to my knowledge, Casper Gomez and the Diaz brothers don't make an appearance in the movie. You never hear from them again. But the fact that Frank mentions that these other dealers in the area helps flesh out the world. That is like, we're not only just talking to people that we see. It makes it seem like a more real experience. And I always thought that Casper Gomez and the Diaz brothers would be a cool name for a band. Like if I ever started a band, I want to call it Casper Gomez and the Diaz brothers. I thought that would be pretty cool. So yeah,
that would be a good band name. Was that the entire point you made with the? Was there a political point?
No, zero. So today's been a rough day. So I didn't have a theme ready. I didn't have real talk. I don't want to be here. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I didn't send the invitation until like 5:53. I had nothing ready to go. And I was like, I was just going to name it like the Left Wing Live. Where I was like, that I thought of that Casper Gomez, the Diaz brothers thing. And I want to talk to you about movies at some time. And so I was like, whatever. I'll just throw it out there because I like the sound of it.
There we go. I did a couple just random thoughts on Scarface.
Let's go. Yeah.
Al Pacino in Scarface is a great example of why, you don't always necessarily have to get a person of that ethnicity to play that ethnicity, because Al Pacino absolutely fucking killed that.
Nailed it as a Cuban.
Absolutely nailed it. I don't know if the accent's necessarily like the most accurate thing in the world, but it doesn't fucking matter because I can't imagine anyone besides Al Pacino playing that role. Great film. Very much I love the concept. It's basically a dumbed down, over dramatized Godfather, and that's exactly what they went for. It's exactly what happened, and I think we need more movies like that, where it is dumbed down, over dramatized versions of the top genre films out there. Like, I need a really dumbed down, really over dramatized biopic of like Oppenheimer. Like, if they did that campy, it would have been a more entertaining movie, is all I'm saying. And there needs to be more, because right now our dumbed down content is just the blockbusters, but like that's a very different, specific thing. And yeah, in general, Scarface is a great film. I fucking love it. Scarface is one of those movies where you can just put on like a Sunday afternoon and just like, you're gonna have a good time. No questions about it. I don't know if there's any, again, I don't know if there's any political
we can talk about like the
there's gotta be some. We got
the Castro stuff. We can get pretty political, like with all that, since with the Cuban expats and everything. We can go with that, but I think the film itself is like, has enough that we can get to it. It's just that first, Scarface is a great example. So you mentioned that it's a good example of a dumbed down version of more classy or highly appreciated films. It's also a great example of an excellent remake, because Scarface was a movie from like the 20s or 30s with Paul Mooney or something. I can't remember the guy who played Scarface, but it was he was like a bootlegger in the Prohibition days or something like that. And they took that concept and they changed it. It's okay, instead of him being like a 1930s bootlegger, we're gonna make him a 1980s coke dealer, which is great. Like, it's a great way to do that remake. It's fantastic. And so I don't know if this is actually when it happened. It probably happened before Scarface. I need to see a bigger sample size, but I remember the first. So I watched Scarface like, I don't remember how old I was, but I definitely watched Scarface before I watched the Godfather movies.
Okay.
And I was familiar with like late Al Pacino before early Al Pacino. And when I saw The Godfather, I was like, is there another dude named Al Pacino? I kept waiting for, Scarface, Any Given Sunday Al Pacino to show up. And no, I got like 70s Al Pacino, who's a different fucking actor. Like, at some point, some like acting coach is like, hey man, you got a hell of a screaming voice. Like, you should be using this way more or something. And that was pretty
forget this subtle character driven, like, and honestly, I think Godfather is one of the best acting performances of all time. But yeah, it's very subtle. It's not very in your face. He definitely carved out a better role for himself in Hollywood by playing to his more buoyant strengths.
I agree. I like over-the-top Al Pacino better, but also I can't say subtle Al Pacino is bad. He's also great doing that too. Because do you ever see Serpico? Like, in Serpico,
I've not seen Serpico, actually.
Okay, Serpico is a weird kind of blend, because he does get energetic, but it's still like more downplayed. Like Al Pacino, really up until the early 80s, I feel he was always playing like these real metal. What was that movie with him and John Cazale, the other one, where they robbed the bank? Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, that's an amazing movie.
Yeah, he's not super, exuberant in that film either. So, I'm not sure when it happened. I'm not sure like the line of demarcation of when we got the new Al Pacino. That's pretty cool. Scarface is interesting because also to me, because of the actors from Scarface that ended up in Breaking Bad. I remember noticing this. So, have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yes, I've seen Breaking Bad, but I can't think of what the crossover.
There's two of them. That I noticed right off. First off is Hector Salamanca. Hector Salamanca. If you watch the scene when Tony is in Sosa's place, Sosa's like butler and driver is Hector Salamanca, and I'll never forget that character because later in the movie, he's driving Tony, Tony's driving him, and he's going to assassinate this like congressman or something like that. And Tony's really mad because the congressman's like wife and kids are in the car, and he's gonna blow it up. He goes, "No, that's not cool. We're gonna kill these civilians too." And he's like talking to him in Spanish, trying to get close, like yes metros, and then Tony shoots him in the car. And the other guy who is in both films is Manny, Tony's sidekick, his partner, the young guy. He's also Don. Who's in Mexico? Don Eladio. Don Eladio is Manny from Scarface, and so there might be more, but those two I recognize right off the bat. It's weird to have two guys from the same movie in there, but I thought they both did a fantastic job. One more Scarface point of trivia here. Speaking of Manny, there's a scene when Tony is negotiating with the Colombians, and they end up cutting off Angel Fernandez's arm. And Manny is waiting out in his car, and Tony tells him, if it's been a certain amount of time, I don't show up, you guys come in, blasting away. And so Manny is out there, and Tony's like chained to the shower, and Manny's out there just flirting with his girl. He's like tugging on her and everything. That girl went missing like right after the movie was shot and was never found again. Like she was it's like, it's a weird thing. I was watching, like, there was like some serial killer in the area or something, and she was people presume a victim because she was never seen again after that movie was shot. That's the last time anyone pretty much saw it. Yeah.
You know a lot of trivia about Scarface, my man.
It's funny. It's like, sure, TJ, you didn't plan to come here talking. No, I didn't. I just threw out the Casper Gomez.
Let's tie it to politics a little bit here, because
Let's go.
An interesting question popped into my head. In the cultural divorce, who gets Scarface?
Oh, well, look, you know when you have a family pet that everyone loves, I don't think because I can see, like, who doesn't like this movie? I mean, I guess
there are arguments to be made on both ends that it should go to the left or the right, because on one side, amazing immigrant story. Obviously now the immigrant isn't necessarily a good guy, but it does show good things about immigration. I think arguments to be made. It's definitely pro-drug.
Pro-drug.
It would pro-drug
legalization.
I would say pro-drug legalization, although I guess
no, I don't think so, because everything falls apart. It's like drugs destroyed his life.
It drugs destroyed his life, yeah. But what I'm saying is that it very clearly shows the ways in which, and maybe I just watched American Gangster, so there are the two that are now in my brain together. But like, I know American Gangster clearly does this, and I'm pretty sure Scarface does. It shows how the U.S. government involvement in the drug trade very much allows these criminal organizations to operate the way that they do. And I feel like it is a very good, like, hey guys, maybe we should be regulating this shit instead of letting people like Scarface fucking handle this. But also it's a very much American dream, rags to riches, put in the work, and the world is a giant pussy just waiting to get fucked. Like, I feel like Tony Montana is a fucking libertarian.
But yeah, he's a huge anti-communist. He makes that very clear several times.
So I don't know, but I guess it depends. It honestly, because I feel like with The Boys, like, only idiots think that Homelander is the protagonist of The Boys, and even the good guy. I don't know to this day what the moral implications of Tony Montana are. Like, I don't know if the movie is celebrating Tony Montana or saying he is bad. You're giving me a squint. Again, I haven't watched this movie in probably 5 years now, but yeah. I would argue that The Godfather very clearly says fucking what's his name?
Corleone, Vito Corleone?
Yeah, Vito. I was like, it's not Don Corleone. Vito Corleone is a bad guy. He's bad. It's the ending of the movie is very clear. He is in darkness. He is not a good guy. But like Tony Montana, it very much seems to celebrate him. It very much seems to celebrate the violence and that mindset that he has as a good thing. I don't know. Maybe you disagree. Obviously, his whole life is ruined, but it is clearly better than where it started. Like, he definitely lived the life he wanted to, and the movie kind of celebrates that.
So it's a tricky tightrope you have to walk with gangster films, because you depending on the message you want to make, because most of the messages it falls along this line. Yeah, sure, you have this short time period where you can enjoy your criminal activity and all the the fun that goes along with it, but eventually you got to pay the piper. Like, that's usually the story with gangster films and everything. The only problem with that is, man, that first part is awesome. Like, the first part, like, it's hard to say I'm trying not to glorify this when, like, you have 45 minutes of people doing the coolest shit you could possibly imagine. It's like, yeah, I mean, would it be worth dying at 34 if you knew you could have 15 years of more fun than most people have in 2 or 3 lifetimes? That's a pretty good selling point for a lot of people. Like, yeah, or you could work a shitty job for the rest of your life and die at 80 with your health falling apart, just never making it over just average fun. Now, come on, that's a pretty decent trade-off. But when you're talking about the national divorce, I wrote down some things that are on the right-winger side for this. First off, Cubans. I mean, they're Cubans. They're Cuban Americans.
You know what? Honestly, I'm giving them Scarface just for that. They definitely get the Cubans. Anti-communist film. You're right. You're right. I don't know. You're right. Scarface goes to the conservatives.
And it also, it's like a double-edged sword here, because you have is the Cuban American protagonist. There is Tony talks like several times about how much he hates Castro, he hates communism, and he says that, oh, how's it going, Caden? It's like I don't know. He says that I'll kill a communist for fun before a green card. I'll carve him up real nice. And it's an immigrant story, as you mentioned, but it's also a bad immigrant. So, like, there we go. It proves the point for the right wingers.
It's really, actually, that really works well in the conservative mindset, because they idolize who Tony Montana is, but they can also point to bad immigrant. It exactly. Really is a perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah, that is true. I just had this idea, TJ. I really want to do this now. The what's his name? Dave Chappelle skit, the racial draft.
The racial draft.
We should do the culture war draft.
I love this.
It can be just, we don't have to fucking write it. Like, we can just like get like some conservative content creators. We can get people like from the different areas and just have a draft, and we can be sitting there just commenting like we're Mel Kiper, like analyzing the picks.
Oh, like, God damn!
We can do this every fucking month. Like this,
that sounds so great. Fun. That sounds so fun. Like, I would actually like collaborate with conservatives to do this. Oh man, I hate myself for saying it, but I would have a blast with this shit.
It would be such a blast.
Just be so fun.
We can do it each month. We can have movies one month. We can have TV shows the next month. We can have sports the next month. We can have celebrities, whatever. There's so many things we can do.
Oh, are you frozen again?
You're frozen now.
Oh, okay. Now I'm back.
There we go.
Oh, weird. Yeah. So, but no, it does sound fun. Although it would be tricky, because we would need to find however many items that actually would be debatable, like on which side they would fall. I think most things fall pretty heavily on one side or the other. Like Duck Dynasty. All right, we don't need to do that one. I'm pretty sure the conservatives are locking that up. So that would be. There's not a lot of, but it would be fun. Music would be a good one, because conservatives have. Actually, it does work, because conservatives have really bad media literacy, so they can't really they're just now figuring out Rage Against the Machine. It's like an anti-conservative band. Like, they're all shocked by this shit. And it also, you know what? The more I talk about this, the more I love this idea, because like revolutionaries from like the 70s or whatever, a lot of them ended up pretty right wing. They kind of like verged off. Like I saw with the Sex Pistols. Johnny Rotten. Yeah, Johnny Rotten was saying that conservatives are the new punk rock now. I'm like, bro, holy shit.
Yeah, it blows my mind when the actual punk rockers like seemingly don't understand what they were doing. It does blow my mind. Although you have Rage Against the Machine. I saw a great tweet from Tom Morello recently, where the CEO of Guitar Center, the new CEO of Guitar Center, came and said, oh, well, I look around Guitar Center and I see a bunch of $300 guitars. I'm just not sure if, as a serious musician, this is the type of place for me. And Tom Morello was like, we want a fucking Grammy on a guitar that I bought for $30 at a garage sale. I don't think you need a $300 guitar to be a serious musician. And I was just like, yeah, such a fucking Tom Morello tweet.
Well, I don't really understand what the Guitar Center guy was saying. Is he saying $300 was too much for a guitar?
Too little. Too little. Yeah, too little. He wants to sell more expensive guitars. I don't know what a guitar goes for. As I said, zero musical talent. But I when I heard $300 guitar, I was like, that seems like a reasonably priced good guitar.
Right, exactly. That's why it confused me. I was like, that's about what I would guess since for a guitar. But he's shit talking that price. He's saying it's too low or too high. He said it was too low. Amazing.
I'm
amazing.
Seeing Hollow saying stuff in the comments. Been a while since you've been there. How you doing, Hollow?
We appreciate it.
We are really, this is a really off the rails kind of day. We have no plan. we're kind of chatting. So if you have anything you would like us to discuss, please let us know. We did zero prep for today.
It's been one of them days. So John, I'm a landlord.
Yes,
it's hard to get out. I got to mumble.
You're a future dinner for the rest of us.
I know it's. I'm going to be one of the first ones to hang during the revolution. I'm not long.
You're going to be like, you're going to go out, even KD ratio and killing one of the landlords.
Even KD ratio. That's great. But no, I was contacted by the tenants and the AC went out. And so we're trying to get the AC fixed and everything. And so, I was trying to get that taken care of. And it's just been a busy day and everything. And then our guest for tomorrow canceled, and I got a substitute, so it's all right. But then next thing I knew, it was 5 p.m. Like, oh God! So I hadn't any topics together, and I was kind of rustling everything to go. And I found a couple that I wanted to talk about, but I also don't want to save that for later, obviously, to the end of the show. But I'm trying to think of anything more.
It's been a kind of slow news week too. In my
There's only been like one major news story that kind of dominates everything else, and so it's kind of hard to pepper in other stuff. And one of them is even kind of related to that. But I'll ask you. I don't know if I talked to you about this real quick. Did you ever see Better Call Saul? Since we mentioned,
I did. I got off of it and never jumped back in. I think I watched the first 3 seasons.
And John, I may have lost us
You might have lost us a subscriber. Do you want to defend your landlord title?
Listen. It's defense is it's an explanation. Like if you guys accept it, fine. If you don't, or whatever. But it was my parents' house, and they were moving out from Maryland to California, and they offered to sell it to me very cheap. So it's like, yeah, I'd like to have a house, and I'd like to, keep the house in the family and everything. So I bought it, but I rent here in Indiana and live and work here. And so, I can't afford to pay the rent here and the mortgage over there at the same time. So I rented out the house. And so, yeah, that's my landlord origin story. If people want to hate me, I get it. I understand. I don't try to, chastise anyone who does, but I also don't talk about it much either. So it's just bringing up for the story. And so, that's it.
I see. I feel like the left really fucking hates landlords. And I understand all the reasons why.
Absolutely.
I think that the left also undervalues the fact that rental properties are necessary.
Yeah,
utterly necessary. And so the landlord class, you're still working class. You happen to own a property and you rent it out, but it's not like you're just leeching off of a bunch of rental property investments and not doing anything productive. I think that's the difference there. And also you don't gouge your renters.
I
remember you told me your dad was like, why are you charging so little? And you're like,
I know. It's my rent is my mortgage is like $3,150 a month, and my tenants pay $3,500 a month. That's it. That's what I call that. And so my dad does bring that up. So and that is extremely cheap for the area. It's right outside of Washington D.C. And there are landlord power levels. Obviously, we're way more. By the way, I found this out a couple weeks ago. I've been saying that BlackRock has been buying all these properties. It's Blackstone. not BlackRock. And it's funny because I remember.
I'm sorry, no, this is like a man.
No,
still, BlackRock still exists, right? Like
yes,
BlackRock is the giant conglomerate. You're just saying this specific thing was called Blackstone.
Right,
okay.
right. And because I remember once Erica on the show, like months and months ago, back when she was doing the show, she mentioned Blackstone. And I was like, oh, I think she meant BlackRock. I didn't say anything. And then I found out, oh my God, it is Blackstone. I've been saying BlackRock for a year now. And I don't know if they're related companies or not, but yeah, it's Blackstone. Yeah, John's looking up right now. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. It's Blackstone. That's been buying up the rental properties. But yeah, they own like what is it? Like a quarter of the single family homes in some states or something like that. And it causes prices to go through the roof. But yeah, it's wild.
So,
am I right on this, John?
BlackRock, they are different companies, but BlackRock is an offshoot of Blackstone.
Okay.
From what I'm seeing in a very quick Google search on this.
Hello, sir.
So yes, they are related.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Just keep it the same name because it's very confusing. But yeah, I thought that was pretty weird.
It's also just like if you were like making a video game, like in like a cyberpunk sort of environment, you want to make the evil corporate conglomerate. BlackRock and Blackstone are both names that you would choose.
Right. Right. It's just like I don't put a lot of stock into simulation theory because it's useless, honestly. I think it's a waste of time to talk about simulation theory because it's we have a Rick and Morty line, like it's God with extra steps. That's all it is. It's like it doesn't help you solve any problem. To you, like the programmer who created this may as well be God, and it's an unfalsifiable, hypothesis. So who gives a fuck? But man, sometimes I see things that make me wonder, maybe it is like the dumbest person and you're like, and this person is like a tax-paying citizen, and they're raising kids. You're like, I don't believe that. I don't believe this person has the capacity to actually function in society as an adult. And then I see something like that looks like someone is fucking like joking with us, like, oh, we're gonna call this evil home stealing operation BlackRock, like an '80s cartoon villain. Yeah, it's just too good to be true.
I like what you say. It's just like a religion. You're right. Like it's just like, yeah, you might as well believe it's a simulation. You believe whatever the fuck you want it is. It's unfalsifiable. It's whatever. We have a great movie about it, and I don't think we need to expand on it any more than that. That's great. What are other like simulation theory like obvious things? Something is like on the edge of my brain right now that I'm trying to grab. But
I'm sure there's some really good ones. I was thinking of names. So I like clever names for businesses. I do like that. And recently I watched The Good Place, which I had never seen, and I watched all 4 seasons. Say what?
Great show.
You've seen it? Okay.
The best interpretation of the afterlife I've ever seen. The last episode, I cried. It was.
I did too, man. Yeah. I cried. Well, I mean, I'm a fucking man. I don't cry. In fact, I had my tear duct surgically removed.
My eyes were sweating.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. But in the first couple of seasons, the first season they thought they were in the good place. Spoiler, sorry, folks. And the second season they thought it too, and they're running through. They have all these clever names for the businesses that really made me laugh. I really like that. And they did it also in You, the Netflix show You. I remember they had a cafe called A Fresh Tart, which I thought was funny, a fresh start. And then, oh no, hello, I ruined season 1 for you. The Good Place. So pretend I didn't say anything about that.
He's saying he'll rewatch.
Good.
He's watched it before.
Thank God. Thank God. But my favorite name for a business in The Good Place was Biscotti Pippin. I thought that was great. I thought it was fantastic. Grand Theft Auto has Ammunition, which is a great fake name for a business. But I'd like to see more of that. People need to do some more clever naming tactics, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that our guests tomorrow canceled. You got a replacement. Who's replacing?
Our replacement is He's on TikTok as Superman Todd, I believe, is what he's listed under, and he's also a vet. Well, he's not a vet. He's still in the military. I think he's been in over 20 years, I think. And so I've had him on my channel once, and great guy. He was scheduled for the 16th, and so I just had him, do this week instead of 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that works.
Do it. Hello, perfect. Do it. He makes great content.
I'm just thinking of since it's been a slow news week, maybe there are some more evergreen topics we can cover, depending on the expertise of the guest involved.
Oh, he does the same shit we do. He does the exact same shit. Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be good with it. He's good friends with Tennessee Brando.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that would be cool. I saw him do a video today that, I can't remember, but I did save it. Oh, he did a video today about, it was so great. He was talking about, he can't believe that jewelry stores still exist. He was talking about how fucking weird it is that I remember having this argument with a libertarian. It was this girl, I was in the army, and she wanted to join the army. She was like 19 or something. She'd come by and talk to us at the table and everything. And we were talking about money and how I said fiat currency is good. She's a libertarian, so she thought that all money should be backed in gold because gold has value. It's like gold does not have intrinsic value. Like, what are you talking about? It's like gold is only worth something because we think it's pretty and it's malleable.
Well,
that's it.
Gold does have some intrinsic value. There are definitely applications for gold.
Are you talking about as for electronics and stuff?
Yes. There is some intrinsic. Unlike diamonds are basically useless.
Well, no, they're not, because they're great drill bits. They're amazing. That's
true. Yeah. Okay.
So
you're right.
It has no practical intrinsic value. It'll be like, you can't eat it, you can't build a house out of it, you can't breathe it, you can't drink it, and so it 99% of the time is being used because it's just pretty. And he was talking about how, look, I understand how, thousands of years ago, we found these beautiful, shiny, pretty rocks, and there weren't a lot of them. So, we gave them all this value and stuff. And he told a story about how, I asked about it tomorrow. It was so good. He was in class, when he was taught about when New York bought Manhattan from the Indians. Mm-hmm. And he said, we all told the story about how they traded this Native American tribe from some beads and stuff that were worth $24. And he remembers everyone in the class just kind of laughing at the absurdity of this. And even his teacher, laughing how ridiculous it is, as he said, as she's wearing hundreds of dollars of jewelry herself, like if that's any weirder or something like that. But I always thought that was pretty funny about how like diamonds, you mentioned the uselessness of diamonds. Diamonds are also, I'm sure greatly inflated in their value, and we just do it because it's pretty. That's it. We spend hours of our lives working to get something just because it's pretty. It's weird.
It is. For people who don't know, diamonds are literally the only reason they're valuable is because of restricted supply. The people who own diamond mines just literally don't sell, they just stockpile diamonds. If they actually just sold all their diamonds, they would plummet in value. There have actually been years, I think, where they have just gotten destroyed diamonds in order to keep the value of diamonds high. Very similar to how oil works. But oil has actual intrinsic value. A lot of intrinsic value. But yeah, diamonds are bullshit. I got my when I proposed to my fiance, I got her a Masonite ring. It looks better than diamond rings. It genuinely looks better. It gives a better rainbow, in the sunlight. It looks fantastic, and it costs $200.
I don't know what Masonite is. I don't know what Masonite is.
I think it's Masonite. I think that's the word. I don't know. This is not my area of expertise, but get a fake fucking. And if you're going to get a diamond, if you absolutely have to get a diamond, get a lab grown diamond. They're so much cheaper. They're the literal exact same thing. There's no reason not to.
There isn't. There's so much. Or buy one from a fucking pawn shop. This is something too. It's not only do they restrict the availability of diamonds to inflate the price, but they also have this what should be illegal guild thing where they won't buy diamonds back from you or something. Like, it's yours. You got to sell it to someone else. And it also the marketing started like in the 1900s. Like, buying your fiance a diamond ring is a very new phenomenon. Like, less than 100 years old. It's crazy. And like the marketing, like diamond is forever. Like, they started like sending marketing. Like, oh, well, the proper thing to do with a diamond is to keep it in your family because they don't want you reselling it because it's going to deflate the value of it. And also, what you mentioned about lab grown diamonds has like a stigma to it. That's not a real diamond when the process to create it is just the same. If God made it or if you made it, it's the same. It's the same material. So it is pretty weird. But I back in the early 2000s, I rather find the commercial and like post it. It's really funny. But I remember this this marketing campaign that Jared had. I think it was Jared, and it was for chocolate diamonds. And I saw commercials all the time for chocolate diamonds. They're fucking brown diamonds, and nobody wanted it because like, no one wants a brown diamond. And so they kept trying to. I was like, look, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I see what's going on here. You guys are trying to offload these cheap diamonds that nobody wants by pretending that they're this valuable, mystical chocolate diamond. Get the fuck out of here.
Should just had like, you see, they were too early. They needed to have like one of the black conservative grifters just like selling it, being like,
they're ahead of the game. They're ahead of the game.
There you go. They missed the right. That's why I work in marketing, folks.
Well, real quick, we talk about the diamond. So I said this too about artificial, because I remember in high school, whatever, in college, like a lot of my friends were getting engaged and stuff, and they would talk about how expensive these diamonds were, and the girls would come up to the other girls and they show their diamond, and all these girls, like these 17, 18, 19-year-old girls, would be like, oh, that's really pretty. You can tell with the clarity and stuff. And listen, I'm just a fucking kid. And I said, listen, I've seen people shop for diamonds. And when you want to talk about diamonds, what does the jeweler do? He takes it, puts a giant like microscope in front of his eye to check the clarity of the color. You, an untrained civilian with like no tool, you don't know fuck about what you're looking at. You don't. You're just saying shit. So if I came up with a cubic zirconia like rock in front of you, you'd never know. You'd have no idea. Know. Like I guess if you like smash it against the wall 100 times and see if it breaks, but that's it. And no one's going to be doing that. What does Tyler say? I want to work in marketing too. John, do you recommend people follow your footsteps in the marketing? And what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so if you want to go into marketing, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can be one of the people who actually do the work. Those people don't tend to get paid very well, and you shouldn't be one of them who are doing the data analysis and all of that. Then there's people like me. I'm an account manager. Definitely go into account management because it is the easiest job in the world if you know how to deal with people. It's a little bit of project management, a little bit of just schmoozing, and I probably work 20 hours a week in my 40-hour job. It's pretty simple when it wants to be. It's a good. You're never going to be, if you want to go into marketing because you want to be Don Draper, that doesn't exist anymore. I
was right about to ask that. I was like, "Are you Don Draper? Is that where do you like?"
No, I'm the other guy. I'm
Sterling.
Sterling, yeah. But like nowadays they've just consolidated the roles. Like that, it used to be like that. And if you go to like the really big agencies, it still works like that a bit, where you have the creatives and like they're really good. Like the people making like ads for Apple and Bud Light, yeah, they still work that way. But if you're starting getting in the door in a marketing career, you're not touching that. You're working for an agency where you're probably working with small to medium-sized businesses. And you are basically just making minimum viable product. Like you're not getting too fancy with it. You are doing stuff that is proven to work. And you aren't going to stop doing that for a very long time. You can go to the creative direction, in which case I would recommend just doing it on your own. And then, while you are at a small agency and then trying to get to a big one. But yeah, don't go into it expecting to be Don Draper. Into it expecting to be Roger Sterling, except you don't get to like take clients out to wine and dine them. It's all fucking remote now, and there's no benefits. But it's an easy job. And if you're probably going to be ending up doing the more data analysis stuff that's just started to exist in the 70s, because honestly, fucking those marketing agencies wouldn't have been good because they didn't trust numbers. I remember that was a whole plot line in one of the seasons where they brought in like data analysts, and Don Draper's just like, "What the fuck is this? You fucking nerd, get out of here."
It is kind of weird. I guess it's not weird at all if I think about it. How that applies to pretty much everything that's ever existed in human history. Because like businesses, like multinational corporations that had billions of dollars on the line were just operating on gut feelings, vibes, and instinct.
Purely on
not
vibe,
go.
Yep.
It's insane. And you like baseball? Did you ever watch Moneyball?
Yeah.
That kind of like that too. It's like when Billy Bean's in the room with all the guys, he's like, "Look, I got a tablet full of this nerd shit that proves this plan will work." They're like, "Nah, I'm just not feeling it, man." now all of it operates that way because of course. Say what?
He's got an ugly wife.
He's got an ugly wife. I remember that scene. Yeah, he's got an ugly wife. No confidence. He's got an ugly wife.
It's funny because sports have like come around full circle, and now it's back to the vibes because everyone has the analytics, and so now you have to go into vibes again.
Right, because you get to a point where the analytics are like, okay, what are we doing here? It's just like you got to make sure this guy plays in the 7th minute of every third quarter on away games in November. That's what's okay. Stop. What are we? This is insane. Like when you see. Like whenever you can find out the team is just out of things to talk about and they bring up the most obscure stat that you've ever heard of that you would never know. And so they do get kind of that, but it's hard to say because vibes are wrong all the time. Like it's wild to me that science as we know it, or the scientific method as we know it, didn't exist until 300 years ago. Like the most simple method you could possibly imagine, make a prediction, test it, correct for variables, observe the results, test it again.
Yep.
I want to say it's obvious, but I grew up learning it. But why would I think I'd have figured it out? No one else did, for thousands of years. It's weird.
So first of all, I do think there's a little bit of Western bias to, it was invented in whatever time. I'm sure people figured that out before and just didn't codify it as the scientific method in like institutional learnings. Like people had to have formed a hypothesis, did a test, compared results to the hypothesis, and then tried again. Like they must have. They didn't build the pyramids without doing that at some point. It's just that the test was like how many slaves died. Like that's it. But like they must have done that, or else how could they have ever gotten to that result? That's just trial and error. It's the scientific method is like codified academic, like doing it. I do think that they get a little uppity about that one.
You're right because things aren't gonna work. But like how they did it was okay, this works and no real explanation why. It just does, and so don't worry about it. And also, it's really weird when you read about like ancient peoples and like what they wrote down because everything's just kind of blended together into one. So like math and science and philosophy and history and religion, it's all the same thing. Like they're like breaking it out into different disciplines seem to be pretty uncommon. Like this is just how the world is. And so operating that way, like a good example I use on this is Australia. That if you look at so Australia, the Europeans didn't know about Australia until the 1600s and when James Cook ran across it. But if you look at old European maps, like from all over like Western Europe, you will see, Europe, Asia, and Africa, and then a giant landmass at the bottom that looks like Antarctica, but the Europeans didn't know about Antarctica back then. And it's called Terra Australis. And you're like, wait a minute, how did these people write about Australia when they didn't know about it? Well, that's because of this brilliant thing. The map that they saw with like a giant landmass of Asia and Europe, and then just Africa at the bottom, they're like, okay, so the world's off balance. There has to be a lot more land down there because like, why would there be all this land up here? Like the earth would be off balance. There has to be a giant landmass down there to equal this out. So they called this theoretical landmass Terra Australis Incognito, or the hidden southern land. And so they just went, because it's a fucking legend that just makes sense because it looks pretty on a map. And so when James Cook ran across a giant landmass, he's like, aha, here is the legendary Australia. And so he's looking around, and then he circumnavigates Australia and says, all right, this is big, but this is not big enough to actually be Australia. This can't be it. So he went even further south looking for another landmass that was even bigger. And so he runs into the ice outside of Antarctica, and he had like fucking wooden ships. He could never get through there. So he's like, all right, well, there's just ice here. I don't see other land. So I guess that medium-sized landmass is Australia, and they named it Australia. That is why it's called Australia. And it wasn't until like 100 years later that they had the technology to break through the ice and find Antarctica. Otherwise, that would have been Australia. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's just like a legend, and you go search for it. Oh, it happens to be true. And it's weird to see, but it makes a cool story, though.
Life is like a box of chocolate, folks. You come into a political podcast and you expect some political analysis, and what you end up getting is how Australia was named and actors that were in both Scarface and Breaking Bad. That is what you learned today, and now you're about to learn our favorite video game.
What's your favorite video game, John? I gotta know. What is it?
I would say I'd probably have to go like all-time most played video games. Got to be Smash. In terms of my like favorite, like this is my favorite video game, probably Metal Gear Solid 4. As just like the best experience I ever had playing a video game. That was awesome.
That's a hard question to answer because different video games in different categories, like or different times in your life, like
different times in your life too. Because like Overwatch, there was a time in my life where Overwatch was my life, and now I don't play the game at all because it sucks. I'm not going to say it sucks, but it's not what it used to be. And I'm not what I used to be, so it's kind of hard for me to judge because that game changes. Games change now, but yeah, I don't know. What is your? Give me a couple.
So the game that like had one of the biggest impacts on me was Mega Man X. I loved that game so much. Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time was like the first time that a video game was like it was like a 3D Zelda game, and looking back to the game is tiny, like it is a tiny game, but it was massive when I first played it. I remember my little sister, she would like sit and watch me play. She's like, it's like watching a movie, like where it was so it's really primitive to think of how it is now. But yeah, those are the games that like have like really big formative moments to me. And then when you mentioned like your best experience playing a game, then I thought, okay, that's a different game. Like if I talk about my best experience, it's the end. Like, did you ever play Red Dead Redemption games? Either of them?
Yeah, I played. I finished the first one. I never finished the second one.
Oh, okay. Well, at the very end of the second one, Arthur Morgan dies. Spoiler alerts for you guys.
I know. You're not, I played the first one, so I know.
You've had 6 years to play, and so and then you play as John Marston, who you play in the other Red Dead game. And the very last mission of Red Dead Redemption 2 is John Marston. It's called American Venom. And John Marston gets his revenge against Micah for what he did to Arthur. And it is the best experience I've ever had playing a video game because like the music is like they take the music from Red Dead Redemption 1 and they kind of remix it with like this electric guitar and shit, and it shouldn't work because that's an anachronism. They'd have electric guitars in 1908, but it's so goddamn awesome. And then John Marsh is running up the hill. They say just you left in it, and he says, "Yeah, just me," and then blows their fucking heads off. I was just like, it was like a religious experience for me playing that last level. So yeah, like different experiences in games just stand out. But yeah, Mega Man 2, I go back to like my childhood. Mega Man 2 and Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time are way up there for me as far as like their impact on me. They are not the best games I have played, but they are my favorite, I would say.
Yeah, the nostalgia factor, the formative factor, like I mean,
you beat it.
I gotta think. I feel like Super Mario 64. I can pop on Super Mario 64 and just jump around like the fucking that first area with the Goombas and the bombs. Like I've probably played that level a million times in my life, and I probably will continue to go back to it. Nice picks. Hal, what's your favorite game? I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely.
You gotta quit smoking, John.
Yeah, I know, right? But let's tie into politics. Political video games. Any come to mind as like particularly good political points made, or particularly bad?
Oh, wow!
Particularly interesting. I don't know. It's a very open-ended question. I don't even have an answer to it yet.
Well, I know the Fallout. I've never played probably Minecraft. Minecraft. Oh, interesting choice. Interesting choice.
Minecraft is a great game.
Yeah.
I never got too into it because I played it like back in the early days, and I'm someone who just like can't restart. And every time I died, I'd get lost. I have a terrible sense of direction. And I was also someone back then that like refused to look things up. So like it was just a total trial of frustration. And every time I died, creeper boom, trying to find my shit, it was terrible. I like COD not because of the politics, but guns. Yeah,
guns are cool.
The politics of Call of Duty are not the best.
Well, that's so. Like, I never played Fallout, but I've heard people talk about it, and it seems like when they explain it to me, it's like, oh, this seems kind of neo Cold War-ish when I hear about this. It's like the Chinese communists have ended the world. Like, I don't know if I like that, but apparently people like the game, so I don't know. Like the political messages seem kind of right wing. I don't know. I like Minecraft because I like to play it with my cousins. So Minecraft is just like. I can't believe this game works. I can't believe that this game that looks like it was made in 1991, where everything is a cube and you get this ridiculous premise of you're dropped in the middle of nowhere, you chop down a tree with your hand, and it's like there's no way this game works, and it's great, and I like it. Like I haven't played it in a long time, but I get why people do enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing, and it's also a game I remember. I was with my girlfriend years ago. She loved it. Like she was telling me, but I never played it before. And I was like, okay, so how do you win? She goes, you don't win. You just accept. Like, all right, I am not playing a game that I can't win. Why would I do that? And then I started playing. I was like, okay, I get it now. Like I kind of get it. It's just like a sandbox. It's just kind of fun. You don't win when you play in a sandbox as a kid. It's just kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's. I think that. I'm really thinking about there is no like formative political video games I can think of. Like the only like straight up political, I guess like Metal Gear Solid, it does have a lot of political themes in it, but like it doesn't necessarily have like a political message one way or the other. Ever play a game called Papers, Please?
No, it sounds very political.
It is. It's a really interesting game. It's a really easy, like it's an indie game, and like you play as I don't know if it's specifically Soviet Russia, but it's Soviet Russia. And you play as like a border security agent. And, you're supposed to collect the fee to let people in and process it. And like, that's the game. But then like people start saying, hey, like, I'll bribe you to like let it in. And like, there's no way to win. Like you are always, it's a resource management game where you're always going to be lacking resources. And so you have to finagle. And like the point of the game that the game is making by this is like a lot of times people choose to participate immorally in immoral systems because they have no other choice, and it makes that point brilliantly. I would just anyone who like has trouble understanding how like I don't know normal people are driven to criminal behavior by systemic reasons, just time play that game, and it shows you exactly how that operates. Even if you try and play the game from a purely moral perspective, you cannot do it. Like you either have to end up killing people or end up killed yourself from a basic border security job. That's one that comes to mind that's highly political and makes a very good political point, but it's an indie game that not many people have played.
I've never even heard of it. Yeah. It sounds threatening. Just the title, Papers, Please. Like, excuse me, but it's like so books. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, Hallow has went from asking us about our favorite video games to asking us for advice from women. My biggest advice for women is not to ask the same people you ask for advice on video games or advice on women.
Yeah,
that might be my first tip.
That's very good advice. So for us, like I think we could actually give you good advice, but most video game guys, no, this is correct. There's not enough time left in the show to actually go into that category. We'll have to do it another time.
I have a real quick thing because I like talking about like the masculinity stuff, because I think it ties into leftist politics quite well. It's that just fucking treat them as like your buddy, like treat them as you would your best friend, and that is genuinely if you actually do that, it will work. Don't treat them like you're trying to get them. Don't treat them just like treat them like you're trying to have a good time with your buddy and trying to make them laugh like you would if you were, in the locker room shooting shit. Maybe don't do exactly what you would do in the locker room.
Yeah.
But like treat them that way. Because like so much, if you try and come onto them, their red light goes right on and they wall you off. But if you just like be their friend, you might get friend zone, but there's a million fucking women in the world, dude. Like you'll have a higher hit rate if you just like don't try and just try and have fun. That'll be your most successful way to go about it.
Yeah, and it's I would say that, but your motivations also really matter, because if you're doing this for the purpose of, hey, I'm trying to get this woman to like me or get these women to like me, that's not going to work, because like they can see right through it. Like if it's just an act, they will know, and your buddies will know too. Like you're not a classically trained actor. You're not gonna have to pull that off. You actually have to have the mindset of, hey, I'm okay if this person likes me. I'm okay if she doesn't, and you will have to ask her out eventually. Like eventually you can't. So you can't just be like, oh, hey, we're bros all the time. Eventually you do have to ask her out, which is the problem a lot of guys have, is that you got to work up the courage to do it. But just do it. Like, don't wait 5 years to ask her out or something, and then spend like all 5 years upset she friend zone you. Well, look, I mean, you got to ask her out. Like, that's honestly.
Yeah.
Say what?
You friend zoned yourself at that point.
Exactly. Like friend zoning. This is what we don't have to. But friend zoning really bothers me, because friend zoning only happens because men allow it to happen. Like you friend zone yourself, like John said. Like, if like, what is she just supposed to? Because guys just they expect women to ask them out for them. It's like, which is usually it happens on occasion, but that's not usually what's going to happen. And second, they're like, well, she knows I like her, so she should preemptively just cut off the relationship. Well, she does that. She knows you're going to get all pissy and mad about it. Why would she do that? You put her in an impossible situation. So yeah, just be confident enough in yourself to know, listen, I'm going to treat these people like regular people. I'm not going to, just show all this obeisance because I want to get laid so bad. Like the desperation looks pathetic, but just be a normal person, and your motivation matters. Like just, operate knowing that you're cool with or without this person. Because like John said, there are literally millions of people out there. You're going to be fine. God, what were we talking about before this?
We're talking about video games.
Oh, video games. That's right. So you mentioned, so play this video game if you ever want to put yourself in a situation to find out, how your morality is awful flexible when your survival is on the line. Yep. And it is kind of sad that we have to do this, that you have to like read or watch films or shows or play games or hear from someone. Because honestly, you could do this as well by go hungry for a couple of days and see what you're willing to do to stop that from ending, and you'll realize why people do act that way. But all right, we ran. Actually, it was 7:03.
We're gonna wrap up here. What are we talking about tomorrow, TJ?
All right, so as the obvious, we do have to have we're going to cover the protest in Colombia and everything, and the not fascist at all crackdown that we saw with the cops rolling in with tanks and spiked bats and everything. It's just going after the kids. So I figured that one. Another one I wanted to talk about that was kind of related to it is Mike Johnson, our favorite Speaker of the House. I don't know if you saw this, but he put to the floor the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Did you see that?
I did not know.
Yeah. So today it passed like 390 to 70 or something like that. And it's exactly what you guess it is that it's I think it grants more authority to the Department of Education to withhold funds from universities that allow protests, not just against anti-Semitism, which fine with that, but anti-Israel protests. And so it passed the House, and who knows what's going to happen in the Senate, but definitely want to talk about that one. And this was yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she's going to put forward the motion to vacate Mike Johnson yesterday. So those are three that I thought of. I don't know what you thought of those.
I didn't realize the other Mike Johnson one. I hadn't heard the anti-Semitism thing, but we talked about that. And then the other thing is that the DEA, no.
With the drug, yeah, they said that they're going to from 1 to 3.
Yes, yep. So that would be the other thing that I was going to suggest. So yeah, there we
Okay.
go. I had 3.
All right.
We each had 3, and 2 of them were the same, so it worked out perfectly.
Fantastic. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This has been probably the most casual episode of the Left Wing Live. So apologies to anyone not watching live. I feel like this is not a good watch back one, but it was good hanging out with everyone who was here. We'll be on tomorrow. And who's our guest again, TJ? Reminder audience.
Superman Todd, a member of the United States military, great guy. Does a lot of politics. He'll be pretty funny, pretty knowledgeable. I was gonna say he's an older guy, but we're probably close to the same age. He's probably like maybe a year or 2 older than me, maybe. So, but yeah, so it'll be good.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and join us tomorrow at 6:00.
Later, folks.